What up, everybody? Schulz here. As many of you already know, we started a new YouTube channel for Flagrant 2. There's a link right here that you can click on. I believe it's right here. I was pointing here last week. I'm not really sure, but just click on the link and go subscribe, man. You guys got up to 10,000 viewers or subscribers in the first week. That was unbelievable. Asshole Army is very strong. We're going to put extra clips up there, behind the scenes footage, a lot more stuff that we can do now that we have its own independent channel. So go subscribe to that right now. Tell your friends. That's where you can watch the clips, the full episode, everything. Eventually, we're going to stop posting those videos on this channel right here. So if you don't want to miss out on anything whatsoever, go subscribe right now. Enjoy the video. A lot of you guys probably heard about this story. There's a comic, her name is Dina Hashem, and she was on a show on Comedy Central called Live at the Comedy Cellar, and she told a joke about Xxxtentacion. And the joke was essentially, she says, there was this rapper named Xxxtentacion, and he was murdered. He was murdered while he was at a car dealership. He brought $50,000 in cash to a car dealership to buy a car. And I saw this story and I thought, if that isn't the best commercial for Venmo, I don't know what is. I remember watching this story and going, I need a Venmo account. Now, this joke gets out there in the world. I promise nobody watched it on Comedy Central. That's a fact. But this joke gets out there on social media, and Xxxtentacion fans get really pissed off about it. They're furious. There's comedians calling for Comedy Central to take it down. For there are people out there in the world that some of us may know saying that whatever happens to this girl because of this joke, she deserves, etc. A lot of bad things essentially put out there in the world. And you have a situation where it seems like an argument is being made to censor comedy. And it's important to kind of like back up a little bit from this, because I think what's really going on here is you have Xxxtentacion fans, and a lot of people don't realize this, but he was their Pac. Like, he was more than a rapper to these people. He was like a spiritual guide. He was a lot of times their confidence. He was someone who made them believe in themselves. He became more than just an artist to these people, and then he was taken away from them very quickly. And they had a lot of anger about the way that he was taken away, and there's no place to put that anger. And then this joke came out, right? And they're like, oh, finally, I have a place for this anger. I'm not over the fact that X is dead. I need to put this anger somewhere. This girl is a place where I can put it. And it seemed justifiable because it seems as if she's making fun of his death. She's actually drawing a bridge between two things, and that's how jokes work. This is a joke that's paralleling these universes, not going, hey, look how funny it is that a rapper died. But it doesn't matter. There's a lot of anger, and that's what, the pressure was being put on her. Now you have this situation where people are calling out comedy, right? You have a lot of rappers and rap fans saying that this is disrespectful, this is distasteful, and this is disgusting. Incredibly ironic, because these are adjectives used to describe rap for so long, right? The exact argument has been made about rap, and especially gangster rap, in which why you shouldn't be able to have that music as a genre because it is distasteful, disrespectful, and wrong, right? So we get into this conversation of, should a joke be allowed, and is a joke allowed, when it really has nothing to do with the joke? It just has this anger that didn't have a place, and all of a sudden a convenient place popped up, right? I mean, these fans started like releasing her address, releasing her phone number. She had to switch her phone number. Sending death threats to this fucking girl. She's a 4'11" Iranian girl from Jersey, right? Like, I didn't follow X's death that much, but like, I don't think the same smoke was going to the dude that killed him. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to, put a 4'11" Iranian girl's address out there. It's not easy to put a motherfucker who murders you outside the car dealership address out there, So it gets put out there. And you have this situation where, is the joke wrong? Is it not wrong? This, that, the other. Listen, obviously, this podcast, Flagrant 2. Obviously, you guys are familiar with my comedy. I think you can write a joke about absolutely anything. The only thing that matters is if it's funny. I 100% support her right to do the joke. I don't think she has to apologize about jack shit. Just like I don't think rappers have to apologize about anything. Why? Because there's always going to be somebody offended by everything. And the second you start apologizing for jokes or not doing jokes because it's offensive, comedy dies. That is the death of comedy right there. You tell a joke about vegans, vegans will be offended. You tell a joke about pedophiles, pedophiles are going to be offended, right? People out here trying to justify the joke by going, were you familiar with X's past? X beat women in the past, or he beat his pregnant girls. It has nothing to do with his past. That has nothing to do with why she's allowed to make that joke. She's allowed to make that joke because that's what comedians do and that's what we're allowed to do. Okay? We just have to make the joke funny. And that joke was funny to that group of people. The group of people that watched that joke in that room didn't know who she was. That was a completely neutral audience, and they laughed. That's it. There are going to be people in audiences that do not find jokes funny. They don't find sexist jokes funny. Racist jokes funny, homophobic jokes funny. You know, that happens all the time. Just because you don't find something funny doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. Simple as that. And I think we have a lot of people out here that were virtue signaling, a lot of people out here that saw this as a convenient time to get some like credibility and build up some goodwill. Right? But in reality, nothing really good happens from that. It's like no joke is going to take away X and no joke is going to bring X back. And no post defending X is going to bring him back or take him away regardless. So we come to a time where it's like, are there certain topics you just shouldn't be allowed to joke about? Absolutely not. It's funny jokes and unfunny jokes. And you know what? Comedy's subjective. Comedy's subjective. Now you have a situation where there are comedians that were calling out the comics. Ape shall not kill ape. Right? That's something that comics run by. It's like, maybe we don't like a joke. Maybe we think a joke is bad, but we're not publicly out here talking about it. You're not going to see me publicly out there talk about it. I'll handle that within the comics. Simple as that, you know? And the reason why you can't have comics publicly shaming other comics or publicly saying another comic shouldn't do a joke is because it's a perfect way for the PC mob, if you will, to go, see, even comics agree it's bad. It's like you need to be united right now, especially at this time where like comics are this hot button topic of you know, people who are, are pushing these like hateful agendas or this, that, the other. You can't have it happen. But what we also can't do is this comic who came out and he maybe started this. He started this like a viral buzz about this clip. What we also can't do is dogpile on him, because just as Dina has become the figurehead for X's fans and their anger about X's death, we can't make this comic, this shit on Dina, become the figurehead for our displeasure with PC culture, right? Because it really ain't about him. We're all angry as comics that we can't say certain shit, and every time we do, we got to worry about being canceled, right? So it's like, for me, everybody was going, yo, why didn't you tweet something about this, that, the other? And it's like, I got to operate in a little bit different way with this type of thing. I feel like when the story first dropped is comics tweeting to other comics and then rap fans tweeting to other rap fans, right? There was really nothing done. So I had to see, like, I had to make sure everybody behind the scenes was cool. I called the first comic who tweeted the thing or Instagram the thing or whatever it was and told the Comedy Central to take it down. And I had to, let him know. I was like, buddy, we can't knock each other. We can't take each other down. And I know you think that this is the right thing to do because you're probably hurt. You're a big X fan, but your brothers and sisters out there, your comedy brothers and sisters out there are going to feel a way about this. And I don't want you to get the smoke. I think the best thing you do is reach out to Dina and just say, yo, my bad about this. We're together as comics. I reached out to Dina. I made sure she was safe. People were threatening her. So I just wanted to make sure she had security. I was going to provide security for her. Thank God, Corinne Fisher from the Guys We Fucked, the girl, she was like on Comedy Central's ass immediately. She got them to provide security for Shorty, so like her and her family are safe. But it's one of those things like we got a responsibility as comics to protect comics when they go through this kind of shit. Because if we don't, then we're all done. Simple as that. If you got comics getting death threats over a joke, and other comics aren't there supporting her, it's a wrap. If that means making sure that we, pay for her security. If she gets kicked off Comedy Central for this, then tell her she could open for you. Take her on the road if there are comics listen to this shit. If you got a show, Put her on the fucking show. Show a sign that you're not afraid of you're not afraid of cancel culture. It's easy to tweet about it. Do something about it. You know what I mean? Tweet out a video that she got. See if she can get some followers out of it. It's very easy to be active on social, but it's hard to be active in real life. And if you have any ability to do that, go for it 100%. Because it sends a message to the world. Yo, if you try to cancel us, we're just going to get bigger off it. I dare you to. You know, you try to cancel Akash, boom, the community comes and helps out. There was a comic in Canada who got convicted of a lawsuit for $40,000 because he made fun of some cripple in the audience, and he had to pay $40,000.
That's crazy,
right? $40,000. And you know what the comedy community did? Paid that shit. Did some benefit shows. His name was Mike Ward. I'm trying to get him on Inside Jokes this weekend, matter of fact.
You're lucky you don't live in Canada.
Facts.
You be bankrupt.
Game over. So it's like, but what we need to do is come out. We need to do it in 100% support. You got to get behind Dina as a comic, as a fan of the flagrancy. You got to get behind Dina for what we stand for. Now, I totally understand how it hurts you if you're a huge fan of X. I was a fan of X. You know what I mean? I spoke to X a little bit on Instagram. You know what I mean?
He was a fan of yours.
Yeah, he was a fan of mine. It was a fucking, I thought he was a wildly talented, brilliant dude. This doesn't take away from that. Everybody could get these jokes. And our philosophy has always been, if I don't joke about you, I don't respect you, bro. I pity you.
Yeah.
And that's why we joke about everybody, and that's why we knock it back. A lot of times jokes, they just reflect the things that are most difficult for us to deal with.
That's how we cope.
That's how we cope. So it's like, and I try to tell people who do this like PC type of humor, I say to them, I'm like, that won't last. I was in this interview up in Montreal, and they're like, what do you think about the little bit more, safe, friendly humor? I was like, it won't last. They're like, what do you mean? It's like, it won't be there throughout time. They go, what are you talking about? I go, if you look at the jokes that have existed for hundreds of years, let's say street jokes, a Jew, a Christian, and a Muslim walk into a bar, right? The core common denominator in those jokes are always either racism, homophobia, pedophilia, murder, sexism.
Yeah.
It's the hardest shit for us to deal with morally.
Right.
We joke around because, like you said, we want to cope.
Yeah.
Right? Because she saw this thing that was probably devastating. She probably saw the picture of X slumped. And she was like, fuck, that's fucked up. That makes me feel uncomfortable. And what do comics do when we're uncomfortable? We fucking joke about it. That's our way of coping with it.
Yeah.
It really is. So I want to open this up, for discussion, but I just wanted to get that out there and thoughts, guys.
I'm not a comedian. I'm not a rapper, but like I'm a big fan of comedy. I'm a big fan of hip hop. So like for both sides, I thought it was a good joke. Like, she could have went so many different ways. Like I like X's music. I also know X had some fucked up shit that he went through and done and was convicted of and all this other shit. She could have went so many different ways with that joke. And the way that she wasn't making fun of the fact that he was dead. Like he didn't make light of the shit that he did, which she could have done as a woman, and the PC mob would have been all gung-ho about it, probably. But I just thought it was, I thought it was a good joke. Like,
it is a good joke.
I didn't feel no type of way about it. Like, it was, to me, comedy is when, because, as soon as she said, because she started a joke like, so are you guys still mourning Xxtentacion? And you hear the ooh in the crowd.
Right.
And that's my favorite type of joke, because I'm like, where are you going to go with this?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like the same with like 9/11 jokes, Holocaust jokes. Shit, the most terrible things in the history of life always starts with a ooh.
Yeah.
And then 100%. Where you take it is always what lets me know if you're an actual good comedian or you're just saying shit to get shock value.
Totally.
Are you an actually funny person? If you, like you always say, like, could you find the humor in some super dark shit? And she found it, and I thought it was a good joke. 100%. And I fuck with X, and I fuck with,
you can do both.
Exactly.
You can do both. You can really love X, respect him.
I like his music. I like his music.
Look, you can really like his music, respect him, and also like a joke and think it's funny.
Yeah.
You can really hate 9/11
And you know what's the wild
appreciate that joke that Jeff Ross said to Pete Davidson at the roast.
Yeah.
Like those things can both happen. You're not shitting on X's grave by laughing at, and you can also not like the joke. Guess what? You're allowed to do that.
That's totally fine.
What were you saying, Akash?
I just think this is actually an even better Venmo commercial than X's death. Because they getting wild publicity right now for free. Ain't they the big winners of this whole thing?
Cash App is freaking out right now, son.
I was like, damn, do I gotta switch over to Venmo?